Good afternoon, viewers and fellow worm hobbyists. This is Lisa in Connecticut. I know it's been a while since I've done a video. Several reasons for that, but rather than to get on with that, let's get on with checking the worms. So right now we're looking at the African nightcrawler bin, one of two that I have. And I have moved all of my worms, with the exception of my urban worm bag, back into my basement. So the sound will be different, the lighting will be different, and I'm still trying to figure out how to mount this camera, which is still a phone at this point, in a way that I can kind of capture everything. And so bear with me because that part is still a little bit in the works, but that's okay. So we're in the basement, and if you can see this, it is 61 degrees. It's saying the humidity's high. It isn't. The only reason it's saying that is because I put this Bluetooth thermometer in the bottom of the worm bin to get the temperature of the bottom, and this bin is moist on the bottom. So if I were to pick it up, as I'm about to do, and put it up here on top of my chest freezer, it'll go down to about 40% humidity, which is what it is. So these African nightcrawlers have been living down here now for just about a week, I guess, and the temperature has been ranging between 52 and 62 degrees with an average temp of about 58, I would say, based on the Bluetooth data I have. And they're doing fine. I came down today again to check them, as I've been doing frequently, and despite them preferring a warm environment, they don't seem to suffer quickly if they're not in that warm environment. So what I want to do is just show you a bit of what they look like, what's going on, and hopefully it's going to be viewable. Again, I'm experimenting with the lighting. Now this bin is very much done, or would have been done actually if I didn't add a bunch of new bedding to it. But the castings are really, really, really nice. I think Africans always make really nice castings. I think it's because they eat so much leaves. Or at least I feed mine so much leaves. So the castings they produce always end up being really, really good. Oh, let me show you this. This I just pulled out. And you may not recognize this, but this is a mango shell pit that I put in here. And it has sprouted. And that's what it looks like when it sprouts. So I'm going to take this upstairs. It looks to me like this will be the growing tip, and this part back here that's not all the way out yet is going to be the root. So since I'm not really sure which side is up, I'm going to plant it sideways, which is how I found it in here anyway. And I mean, living in Connecticut, it'll never result in any mangoes, but it's interesting. There were a bunch of worms in it. I tried to get them out and shake them out. Some still went back inside. I think they're going to be harmless at that point. So I thought that was interesting. I'll just try to show you how the worms themselves are looking, adults and babies. Let's see, this bin right now has been taken over by babies. And when I say taken over, I couldn't even estimate how many. There are thousands of babies, which is a good problem to have, but also not good. The babies are competing for the food, which means I have to break off another bin because there's just too many. There's too many in here now, and the babies eat so much. The little baby worms in general eat a lot, but the baby Africans, I find, if you put something in here, like there's a piece of cantaloupe in here, the babies will just cover it. They will cover it like, I don't know, something out of a cartoon, just devour it. And before the adults even get a chance, let's see if I can scoop up So I don't have the camera set in a way right now where you can see the whole bin. So I'm just picking up some of the contents to show it to you. I'm gonna, since everything is down here now for the summer, I will be working at that to make it better. Okay, so here is a piece of cantaloupe I just picked up. See, there's an adult in here. And here's the other piece of it. And as you'll see, they're young worms. I bet you there won't be a single adult in here. These African night crawlers, one of the channels I follow, which is Eve Growing, that is run by Mark Payne, who also lives not even a mile from me. Last week we exchanged some worms. I gave him African night crawlers, which he hasn't had, and he gave me some of his red worms, which I do have, but they are, you know, from a different stock than mine, so it's interesting. Sorry, my dog's going crazy upstairs, and I'm trying to figure out why. You go too. Go upstairs. At least it's not right in back of my head when I hear it now. Here's another adult. I don't think I can get my hand down long enough to show you the length, but it's well over a foot. I don't have a way to measure it right here, but I have to keep moving my hand back and forth to get it under the camera. So this is the results of them being in the 50s. It's not hurting them at all. Okay, so as I was saying, I gave Mark some of these worms because he hasn't had them, and he does a different type of worm setup than I do. He has what he calls fermenting buckets. They are 6-gallon buckets with aeration fittings in them, which is basically holes that have screen coverings, and he puts in what he refers to as bio balls, which is all kinds of compost, everything in the world, including the forbidden foods, that he rolls with sawdust into what looks like a meatball, and he fills it, adds a few handful of worms, and closes it. And 4 or 8 weeks later, depending on how he's cycling them, he opens the bin up and the castings are done. I've been to his house. I've seen his setup. It's pretty amazing. It really is. It just goes to show you how many different ways worms can be kept and be kept successfully in many different ways. So I've gotten to show you some of the adults. I've gotten to show you some of the babies, or millions of babies. Let me try to find one more spot of food here. I didn't intend this to be a long video, and it won't be. I just wanted to let you know that I haven't disappeared. I went through a period of no internet access, which appears to be resolved now. And then I had the process of moving all my worm bins into my basement, which took some time as well. So I'm just getting back into where I can video. I'm trying to get seeds started at the same time. Even though we still have snow outside, it is prime time for starting seeds inside. So this is a look at the Africans. Again, they're averaging probably, I don't know, 55 to 58 to 60, depending on if it's day or night. And they are doing really well. They don't seem to be slowing down. They don't seem to be suffering in any way. They're making beautiful castings. I have found lots and lots and lots of cocoons. If you look as I pour this handful, all you're going to see is worms. Any one big scoop I pick up of material is worms, with an awful lot of juveniles here. Let me do that again for the camera. So it's a giant mound. And as it spills outward, you'll see all the worms in it. This bin has been one continuous baby boom since last Halloween. I don't know, maybe they got into the Halloween candy. And again, it's mostly castings, but it has bedding in it. When I moved them in the basement, it was actually colder than it is now. And I wanted to make sure they had lots of thick material to bury themselves in if they wanted to. So I added, here's a piece of cantaloupe. I added more of my pre-made bedding, but it hasn't looked as though I needed to do that. I could have harvested the bin, but it's okay. I mean, the more the better. So what I want to do, I'm going to just pause and take the camera off the tripod to give. All right, so we're looking at the total bin. This is a 45-gallon Rubbermaid tote. I turn the flash off. Let me turn it back on so you can just sort of see. Now I'm holding the camera, so it's not going to be steady. I just want to sort of show you how deep it is and just what things look like down to the bottom. No matter how deep I go, there's a lot of worms in here, so it's definitely time for an adult bin. It's a lot easier to separate the adults from the babies than it is to take the babies out of the adults. The adults being a foot or longer are very easy to pick out. And of course the adults are much much darker as well. You can actually see the band on that one, which is unusual for an African nightcrawler. Look at the beautiful color. All right, well, so this is the update on my African nightcrawlers, and I'm going to try each day in between other tasks to do an update on each of my bins because I've been falling behind. And since it is also seed starting season, you will see me uploading some gardening videos as well. As the name is, Connecticut Worms and Gardens. They both work together for the common goal of feeding me and my family, and ultimately the leftovers go back to the worms. So it goes full circle. All right, folks. Well, I'm glad I was able to touch back with you. Thank you for continuing to follow me. I've been watching the channel, the videos of everyone I subscribe to, and will always continue to offer that support. And if you have any questions or comments or feedback on this bin or any of my bins, or this worm, or any type of worm that I have, please let me know. I'm always happy to answer questions or to help out. So I have my lovely, bizarre-looking mango sprout here that I'm going to go put in a pot. This is the third one. Actually, I have two others in a pot, but they weren't this exposed when I found them. They were just cracked open, so I didn't get to see this beautiful pink, almost rose-colored tip on it. So that'll be interesting, and I look forward to doing another video for you very soon. Have a wonderful day. Please remember to give this video a thumbs up. It helps my channel. And subscribe to my channel if you're not already. And give the channel a share if you know someone else would like it. And I can look back at our Bluetooth thermometer. So we're now at 63 degrees up here, which is right under a light. But it's dropped down to 55% humidity. Where it was at 73% when I first started. So I'm going to put the Bluetooth thermometer back down in here just so I can monitor this on my phone. It links by Bluetooth, so I can just open the app, and if the worms get too cold, I can put a heat mat on them if necessary. So it's very convenient. It was quite inexpensive. Maybe I'll put a link to it. All right, everybody, have a wonderful day. I'll be seeing you again soon.